Margie from the Westchester Children's Museum, here once again to do this week's activity with you. And we know that a lot of you have went back to school already, whether at home or actually to your school. So we wanted to do some fun things this week with apples. So our themes are all about apples this week. So I have a wonderful red, delicious apple here with me and a bunch of other apples because we're going to do some fun things with apples today. But first I have a question for you. Have you ever dropped an apple and then rinsed it off and went to eat it? And you noticed it was brown inside? Or has your caregiver ever cut apple slices for you and you left them out for a while and they turned brown? Why does that happen? Why do apples turn brown when they're left out for a long time? So we're going to find out today. The first thing is that the enzymes in the apple, when they're exposed to the oxygen in the air, they oxidize. But we're going to talk more about this and we're going to learn more about why this happens. And we're actually going to do some tests to see if we can stop an apple from turning brown. Do you think we can do that? So let's get ready to see what we need to make our apples stop from turning brown. So let's get started. Before we get started with what you need for our fun experiment with apples today, I wanted to show you some apples that I left out for about 15 minutes. And look what happened to those apples. So I cut them into slices and they turned brown pretty quickly actually. So we're gonna see if we can stop our apples from turning brown. So this is what you need. What you need to get started first is you need at least one apple, and your caregiver is going to need to cut that into 5 slices. You need some lemon juice. You need some vinegar. You need some whole milk. And you need some little cups that you can put some of these things into. And then you need some little dishes, or I actually use coffee cup lids to put your liquids and your apple slices in. And that's all you need. So let's get started with our fun apple experiment. Okay, so let's get started with our experiment. So I have 4 dishes. I have one that we're just going to put an apple in. I have another one that we're going to put lemon juice and an apple slice. I have another one that we're going to put vinegar and an apple slice. And then I have one that we're going to put milk over. And we're going to try to see if one of those liquids can help our apple from stopping to turn brown. So let's start. I have in this container, I have my milk, and we're gonna pour that over the top of my apple. All over it, we wanna cover it. Okay, and we're gonna leave it for a little bit. And then we're gonna take my lemon juice and we're gonna pour it all over this apple slice. We're gonna cover it really good. And then lastly, we're gonna take our vinegar and we're gonna put it over this slice. I'm gonna pour it over. Okay, so now what we have to do is we have to wait and we have to observe. So we have to observe what's going to happen with our apple slices. So we'll come back in a little bit so we can see what happened. But what I want you to think about is, I want you to predict, make a prediction. Which liquid do you think is going to stop the apple from browning? Is it just one? Is it two? So you think about it, and we'll come back in a little bit and take a look. So let's see what happened with our apples. I waited like 20 minutes. I let them soak in all the liquids that we were testing out. So first, let's see. This is our milk. I think that apple really turned brown. And the next one I have here is our vinegar. I don't think that apple turned brown. And next we have our lemon juice. Our lemon juice stopped our apple from turning brown. And then lastly, we have just our apple. And look at how brown that turned on its own. So let's talk a little bit about why this happens. How did you stop your apple from turning brown with those two liquids? And that was the vinegar and the lemon juice. So let's find out. So what happened and why? First of all, why do apples turn brown if you cut them open into slices and leave them for a little bit? Or you drop it and it gets bruised. So the reason that apples turn brown is because something called a PPO in the apple. And that's a polyphenol oxidase, which is an enzyme which is found in the apple. And that enzyme actually keeps all those cells living and going. So once you cut into that apple, you're cutting into those cells. And you're exposing that PPO or polyphenol oxidase to oxygen or the air. And what happens is, with that exposure, it turns your apple brown. Now there's other plants and maybe even other fruits and vegetables that actually have this PPO or enzyme in them. So some that you may find them in are bananas or pears or even potatoes. So I challenge you to try some different experiments. Maybe use a potato, maybe use a pear, or maybe even try some different liquids with your apples. Maybe some seltzer water, or maybe some pineapple juice. But one of the reasons too why our vinegar and our lemon juice prevented the apple from turning brown is because that has citric acid in it, and that's an antioxidant. And what that does is that actually prevented the oxidation of your apple. So that's why it doesn't turn brown. But eventually, when all that lemon juice goes away or that vinegar goes away, your apple may turn brown. So I challenge you again to try some of these different things. It's Margie from the Westchester Children's Museum once again, and please have some fun and do some of these fun experiments with apples and maybe some other fruits and vegetables. So have a great day. I'll see you next time.